You know what I'm thinking is that some of you guys are starting to realize that you might have actually sexually harassed or assaulted or even raped someone before, and so you're starting to get defensive and you're starting to feel a little bit guilty and you're starting to get a little bit scared. And so you're taking down this movement, you're picking it apart and making it about things that it's definitely not about. I haven't seen one woman during this whole thing say that she regretted sleeping with someone, so it was rape. So, like, what the fuck is your point here? And you know what? If you coerce someone and you convince them and you guilt them into saying yes, and then they regret saying yes to you and giving in to you, that actually is a form of rape. And I would know because my ex-boyfriend did this to me every single day. And it took multiple police officers and multiple doctors to get it through my head that I was being raped. Because that's not something I wanted to admit to myself, and I didn't want him to get in trouble. Chew your fucking gum properly. Alright, so this comment is kind of hurtful and annoying, but I'm going to use it as an opportunity to educate regardless. So the reason people don't just leave abusive relationships when it seems like they could just walk away, so simple, is because you're manipulated. Every relationship starts out amazing. If you just hung out with someone one time and they were a total piece of shit, you'd be like, okay, bye. But it's great for the first few months. Like, they are perfect, like, best person ever. And then it just kind of, like, rolls into this huge thing, and you wake up one day and you're like, what the hell happened? Also, they threaten to do things if you do leave, so they keep you there in fear. And every time I did try to leave, he got really, really violent with me, so it just took time for me to gather the resources and help that I needed to leave safely. And also, I was embarrassed to ask for help. I don't really know why, but I just was. And so yeah, it just takes time sometimes.
Things that really messed me up growing up in the church, purity culture edition. Let's start with things that were actually said to me as a child. You know, if you have sex with more than one person, you are not going to be able to love your children as much as a pure woman can. Your body belongs to your future husband, not to you. You are going to make such a beautiful helpmate to your future spouse. Men don't want to marry a woman that other men have touched. They can't respect you if you have been touched by other men. If you go out wearing that outfit, you are going to tempt somebody else's husband and cause them to stumble. If you sleep with someone who slept with other people, you've also slept with all of the people that they've slept with. It's a wife's duty to stop her husband from watching porn. If he has an addiction, it's her fault. And then when you get married, you're supposed to just be completely comfortable with sex and it's supposed to be fine.
Okay, while my page is on the topic of purity culture, I figured that this is a good time to talk about how and why it contributed to the eating disorder that ruined my life in high school. Women are taught to be meek, they're taught to be small, they're taught to be submissive. I know it means emotionally, but like, we take that very literally as teenagers. You are taught drawing attention to yourself is bad. Curves are evil because they distract men. How do you get rid of curves when you're a woman? By losing a shit ton of weight. That's how. In private school, the girls with curves got dress coded significantly more than the girls that didn't. I wanted to wear leggings, so get rid of the booty, I guess. Purity culture very heavily kind of teaches that your body belongs to men, right? You never have control over your own body. Eating disorders stem from a lack of control because it's something that you can control. So that's its contribution.
Girls be like,
I'm such a strong and independent woman. Then pay for dinner.
Okay, then get paid less. Experience excruciating pain each month. Be a part of the 97% of women that have been sexually assaulted. Get randomly catcalled in the street. Be diminished down to your body type. Be diminished down to your looks. Have the standard that you have to have kids before the ripe age of 35 or you're too old to have kids. Walk outside without the notion that you're going to get raped or killed, so you have to carry around pepper spray and a taser. Be told, boys mature faster. So that's why girls can do stupid shit and get away with it. But you were wearing a tank top and joggers, so I mean, it was already out there, so I'm fully justified in touching your penis. Be given little to no respect just because you're showing skin. Be expected to blindly turn the other cheek even when somebody does you dirty just because they're of the opposite sex. Don't walk outside at nighttime. It justifies someone killing you. Once you do all that and more, we'll pay for your fucking dinner. That was a conversation about independence, not paying for dinner. But hey, let's have that conversation. If you as a man, woman, non-binary, asexual, I think I'm like pans, I don't know, I just don't give a fuck about your gender. Anyways, if you ask me on a date, you're gonna compensate me for my time. Because when I go out on a date with someone who asked me, I didn't want to go. I went because you asked me. Therefore, you compensate me for my time. Oh, but what if you have a boyfriend? I'm not talking about that. If you ask me on a date, you're gonna compensate me for my time. And a lot of people think I'm stuck up for it. I have high standards. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't engage. I don't ask anyone out on dates. I don't even take interest in anyone. So you're gonna compensate me for my time. And this is my perspective. Anybody else can have different thoughts. I don't give a fuck. If you ask me on a date, you're paying for it. That's just for me. Listen to me, not to comment, not to argue, not to respond. Just listen, open your ears and close your mouth. Imagine we have two different people. One is accepting of others' beliefs even though they have their own beliefs and lifestyles that differ from those. Then imagine we have another person that has different beliefs and still wants to manipulate and force that other person into their beliefs because they think that it's the truth. Judgmental Christians, not Christians, judgmental Christians. You are what you think the LGBTQ and Satanists are. Never have I ever had a person of the LGBTQ or Satanist come to me and try to force their ideologies and their beliefs and their lifestyles onto me. But with Christians, I cannot say the same. And what he did in this video was not Satanism in the slightest. And a lot of people think Satanism is devil worshipping. And it's not. And even if it was, I don't understand how giving the devil a lap dance and then killing him is worship. And at the end of the day, Satanism is a real religion. So if we do normalize it, oh well, it doesn't affect you.
Do not teach your children to respect authority. And this one really upsets people, especially conservatives. My dad was a Fed. He's exactly who a lot of people think would teach his children respecting authority unequivocally, rule with an iron fist. Quite the opposite, actually. My parents taught me to push back against even them. And if you're going to do this right, you're going to have to get comfortable with your children not respecting your authority unequivocally either. You need to teach them to feel comfortable speaking their mind, speaking their opinion. You need to set aside your ego over what is actually disrespectful. Who cares what the baby boomer in Target thinks about your child's disrespect? You need to get comfortable with this stuff as a parent. I pushed back against a lot of authority when I was a kid, and my parents backed me up. And your kids have to see you do that. If you are not a confrontational person, this will be difficult. But if you teach your children to unequivocally respect authority and follow it, it will put them at risk.
When I say that women are more superior than men, I don't mean they're better. And all these comments of men saying, well, we have to deal with this, we have to do this, we have to go through this. Shut the fuck up. I've dealt with anxiety, I've dealt with depression, I've dealt with bipolar, I've dealt with suicidal thoughts, I've tried killing myself. I've dealt with the societal and cultural conformities that tell men to push their emotions down and hide them inside. So don't come at me with that bullshit. Women have to go through things that men will never have to even imagine in their lifetimes. Read the comments, and women, you can speak for yourselves because I don't know what that's like. But if any of these videos cause any men to get upset or get defensive, I'm sorry, your ego is so fragile and your self-confidence and value and identity are so fucking small. Women deserve the appreciation, respect, and value that they should always have from the beginning. They're not a piece of ass. They are equal humans in this world. So yes, I look up to them and I feel like they are superior to us because of the shit that they have to put up with because of us shitty men. I said what I said.
This is for the men. Trigger warning. In my last 4 years of teaching in particular, I taught a book called Speak by Laurie Halse Anderson, in which a young woman sneaks out of her house at night, goes to a party, has a cup of beer, and then she's raped. As part of the conversations around this book, I had one day where I switched things up and I said, today the answer is no. And the question is her rape her fault? And after an hour of conversation and debate with particularly the boys who want to argue that sometimes vulnerability equals permission, women would come up to me after class, young girls, 14-year-old girls would come up to me after class and they said, I've been raped. And one boy. Men, we are the problem. When we allow people to make sexist jokes and we allow people around us to catcall, when we allow people to objectify women, we are part of the problem and we need to change this.
The modern beauty standard for women is extremely pedophilic, and I'm about to explain why. First off, women are constantly called whores or that they're asking for it just because they have their natural body parts a little bigger than average, like breasts, thighs, stomachs, anything like that. So you can easily make the conclusion from that it's more desirable to have basically everything smaller. Not to mention that petite women are more desirable for some reason. it's for some reason desired for a woman to be shorter than a man in a relationship. Second off, it is constantly preached to us that it is more desirable to have a natural makeup look or a no makeup look. And finally, here's the kicker. It is undesirable or gross for women to have hair basically from the neck down. Let's put it all together, shall we? No hair, smaller in every aspect, and no makeup. What does that sound like to you?
You know how guys be talking about girls' private parts and what it smell like? But how come y'all's always smell like wrestling practice, huh? Why it always smell like locker room and suicides, What kind of shampoo you use? That 3-in-1? Go ahead and lather 3 times, condition, then deep condition cause your dick got dandruff. Why your pubic hair got split ends? Go ahead and detangle it. How you got enough hair for a twist out, Why you got the same pubic hair you been growing since you were 9, huh? You don't ever want to trim it? I got you, bro. Go ahead and line it up. Oh, you want to go raw, but your pubic hair got edges. You know all that hair causes sweat that builds up and get inside her, right? Oh, so you said it's gay to trim? Also, it's gay to take care of your hygiene and do what you need to do to make sure your girl don't get a coochie cold. But isn't it more gay to do things to validate men? Are they gonna see it?